Hello, horse lovers. How often haven't you wished that your horse could speak your language and that you could talk to them? Well, if you've been around horses, you know they do understand a good bit of human language. I mean, they learn voice commands like walk, trot, canter, whoa. They can learn vocal commands for tricks, and it's clear from their reactions that they do understand a lot of what we say. But it's not exactly the same as them speaking our language. But what if we could speak their language? Well, that's the question that Monty Roberts asked himself. Now, Monty Roberts grew up with a father who broke horses. And when I say broke horses, I do mean broke. I mean, these horses were taught submit. You're going to lose against the human's going to beat you up if you don't obey. You do what the human wants or else. And Monty said, there's gotta be a better way to train a horse than this. This can't be the only way to communicate with these remarkable animals. And of course, there are horse trainers who train them gently, always have been, but he thought, what if I can find a way to actually communicate with horses so that everybody can see that you don't have to use force, you don't have to make them submit? Well, he went out on a job to capture wild mustangs for a rodeo, and he got to observing how these mustangs react to each other. He thought, do they have a language? And he watched, and if one horse held the ear a certain way, lowered his head, turned his back on another horse, positioned his shoulders a certain way, looked another horse in the eye, there's a lot of different signals there, and he observed that if one horse gave these signals, the horse he was giving them kind of in the direction of would almost always respond the same way. And he realized they are having a conversation. They do have a language. Now, it's not a spoken language, it's more akin to sign language, but they do clearly have a means of communication. Well, then the question became, can I learn that language? Can I learn to understand what they're saying? And the answer is yeah, through observation, you can realize if a horse does this, they mean that. Well, the following question is, can I say something back to the horse in their language? Again, the answer is yes, you can. Even though our bodies are different from theirs, we can position ourselves in a certain way, use our eyes, our shoulders, our head position to signal certain things to the horse. And he actually came to realize that, yeah, he could talk to them. And this became the foundation for what is known today as join up.
And I discovered that the scolding process was to isolate. Now, what is this? Send that little guy out there and leave him out there on his own. And he knew. Somehow he knew he's supposed to stay out there.
Now, I know that sounds weird, but sending the horse away with their own language is the start of the join up process. And there's logic in that because, like you said, this is what a boss mare horse does with her foal out in the wild. This is how they communicate. And it's basically their version of of a child being told, go to your room. Now, the foal obviously doesn't want to be sent to his room. He wants to rejoin the herd. And of course, the mother lets the foal come back after a time. And Monty watched what kind of language the lead mare used in order to communicate that to the foal.
The dominant mare, when she sent the colt out there, she would be communicating with him that he's to stay out there. And I saw how she communicated. Eyes on eyes, square shoulders. Kept him out there for maybe 2 hours. And when she felt he'd paid enough of a price for whatever action he had done negative, she would walk in a circle and she'd start to make her motions round. and sort of drop her head like this and look away. And he'd start to come back in.
So we can see that through join up, you're establishing that relationship with the horse. You become the leader of the herd. You're the boss mare. Which is oddly enough something else that Monty Roberts discovered. Everybody thinks, oh, the stallion leads the herd. Through watching the Wild Mustangs, he found out the stallion isn't in charge of anything except getting the mares pregnant and making sure some other stallion doesn't run off with a few of his mares. No, it's the lead mare who makes all the decisions. Where are we going today? When do we stop to graze? Where are we going to get a drink? Where are we going to spend the night? Those are things that the lead mare decides, not the stallion. So, if you're going to be in the role of the leader of the horse herd, of course, you got to understand what your follower is saying. And Monty discovered that too through watching them, and that's how he knows when they are ready for the moment of join up.
If he drops his head down near the soil, it means that if we could have a meeting, I'd let you be the chairman of the meeting. If he licks and chews, it means I'm a herbivore. There's the head down. So that means I'll let you be the chairman of the meeting.
There's actually 4 signals total that you want to see from the horse. As Monty said, you want to see the head go down, you want to see the licking and chewing, you want to see an ear towards you, their focus is on you. You want to see them making smaller and smaller circles as they go around you. They're saying, I want to come to you. And when you see all 4 of those signals, that's when you do what the mother horse would do, what the boss mare would do, and you signal them to come to you. And you do that, you turn away, you lower your head, you lower your shoulders. You stand there and you let the horse do the coming to you. And the horses want this. They're herd animals. They want to have someone that they know they can trust to take care of them and lead them.
The horse. Round movements instead of square movements. Reward him now for coming to me. And the horse, you'll see, gratefully moves his head, licks his lips, and says, well, thank you. I'm so glad. Then he has what he calls join up.
Now, just as important as join up, a lot of people tend to refer to the whole process as join up, but just as important is follow up. Once the horse has come to you after you've dropped your head, lowered your shoulders, turned away, acted like the mother horse telling the foal to come, then you walk around for a while letting this horse follow you, and that's where the real bonding is established.
Good licking and chewing.
Then, as he moves around, the horse does the horse thing. He follows the leader. And the more he follows him, the more comfortable he is. Horses seek comfort.
Now, Monty faced a lot of doubters. They said, it's just not possible to talk with a horse in their language. He must have drugged this horse. He must have had a horse that was specifically trained ahead of time. He's pulling some kind of a trick here. This isn't for real. And Monty faced those accusations by saying, okay, you want me to prove I can do this? I will take a wild Mustang that has not been domesticated, not had a chance to have any drugs slipped to him, nothing. This is a wild horse. And I will do join up with this horse in the wild. Now, usually, you want to do join up in a round pen. Why? Because the horse isn't going anywhere, obviously, and because you can keep the horse moving there. If you have, for example, a square arena, the horse can just go in the corner and hang out and say, I'm not working with you today. Now, granted, one thing to remember about join up is it might not happen the first time you try it. And if not, if you judge how much time has passed. Is the horse giving the signals after you've been working with him a while? No, well, then probably not going to happen today. And it's not going to happen every single time. Maybe the horse doesn't see you as someone they want to connect with yet at that point. That does happen. And Monty wanted to prove, though, that this method is effective. It does work. So he arranged to do this with a Mustang who was living wild on someone's private property. Said, I will work with this Mustang. I will join up with him in the wild. And what he did was he got a series of fresh horses so he could keep up with this Mustang, and he rode right beside this horse using his own body to give the signals, which is, you wouldn't think this could be done, that the wild horse would be focused on the other horse. But no, he watched Monty's body movements, and he actually ended up joining up with Monty right there in the wild. And right there in the wild, Monty got this horse to accept him. And that is just incredible.
Lily wanted to be here to watch this remarkable event.
Well, it's remarkable in that we're doing this in the open with a wild horse. We've got thousands and thousands of acres of open country here. But this animal is not fleeing. It's responding to the round pen technique, not in a round pen, not in a confined area, but out in the open. It's verification that all of Monty's concepts are perfectly valid.
You could see there in that video that Mustang is completely loose. There is nothing to make him stay beside Monty other than the fact that they have established that Monty is the leader of his herd, and that horse wants to be with Monty. That horse was named Shyboy, and of course I have a Breyer model of Shyboy. Now, this horse's story goes even beyond the moment that he joined up with Monty. Now, Monty kept him for about a year, trained him to do all the things that he wanted him to do, and people said, okay, you've proven that you can do this, even with a wild horse, one that's clearly had no training, no drugs administered, nothing to interfere with what you're doing. Clearly what you're doing works, but is that horse really happy? You took him from the wild. Does he really want to stay with you, or would he rather go free? And Monty said, you know what? I'm going to show that he will come back to me. I really believe in this. Now, the herd of horses that Shyboy had been living with, they were on private property, so he would have been safe released again there. There was no danger to him. But Monty said, okay, I'm going to take him back to where his old herd was, and I'm going to turn him loose. Which he did. And at first, Shyboy ran right off with his herd, saw him up on the ridge, and everybody's like, okay, this horse is not coming back. And Monty said, well, let's give him a little bit of time. Well, morning came, and they were just about to pack up and go home when Shyboy appeared on the ridge. And he ran straight back to Monty like, don't leave without me. I'm coming back. I just had one night of partying. I'm coming home. And Shyboy is alive today at the age of 32, which is just incredible. It's a great old age for any horse, but especially for a Mustang. Mustangs just don't tend to live that long, especially when caught from the wild, who had to deal with parasites, faced risk of injury, illness. For Shyboy to be alive yet at 32 is just phenomenal. He's got a great life living on Monty's ranch. I do want to say that this process has been popularized through the series Heartland, and both the books and the TV series are incredibly popular. Now, the book series is accurate in how it depicts join up. The TV series, not so much. They actually have it seem more like the horse joins up with the main character Amy in order to get a piece of candy. Now, if the horse does that, they want a treat. That's not join up, although it still does make a visually impressive scene.
See that, Amy? He's ready to join up.
Come on, how do you know?
His horses never lie.
I wish they'd have left the treat giving aspect out of it, but they do have the body language correct and the idea of the horse coming up behind you like that correct, and it definitely does capture the magic of that moment. Now, I got to experience that moment for myself, in part thanks to the reminder from Heartland that horses never lie. I was taking my own horse, Bucky, into the round pen, and I was just free lunging him. Knew what join up was at the time already. I knew the body language involved, but I just didn't feel ready to try it. I was afraid I was going to mess something up. And the bottom line is, there's nothing easier if this is what the horse wants. Again, not every horse is going to want to join up at any particular time. But I was in the round pen with Bucky that day, and I saw he was lowering his head. And I thought, well, he's trying to catch a stray wisp of hay that's on the ground. Okay, keep him moving. Come on, Bucky, you gotta mind me. This is work time, not snack time. So I kept after him. And then I noticed, okay, he's making smaller circles and his ear is towards me. And then I clicked, he's joining up. He wants this. And I thought, and I thought, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? And then I remembered that line, horses never lie. I'm like, yes, he does want this. This is really happening. And the only signal left to watch for was for the licking and chewing. And then I turned my back, lowered my shoulders, did what I was supposed to do, and it didn't take him half a second to run up behind me. I felt him there, and then he kind of nudges me like, hey, I'm back here. And I almost forgot to do what I was supposed to do and turn around and pet his forehead. You make the circular petting motions on the forehead as the reward. I was so excited, I almost forgot to do that. And then after that, I just walked around the arena with him following me, and we must have spent a good hour and a half just walking around the arena together. And I couldn't have gotten away from Bucky if I tried. This was seriously the most magical moment of my life, knowing that he wanted this. And I can't emphasize that enough. It was his idea to join up. I wasn't trying for it. This is what Bucky wanted. And he was just so happy after that. I mean, the way you could just tell from his body language, he was thrilled. This horse had come from an abusive situation before I got him. There was never a mean bone in his body ever, and he is such a sweet horse. He's great with little kids, but he was afraid of so much. And this was him finding security. This was him finding someone who promised to keep him safe. And it brings tears to my eyes now just to think of it. Now, I don't have footage of that day, but my sister Rue came out with me to visit Becky sometime after that, and she recorded me joining up with him again. You can join up with a horse more than once. And I I wanted to share this footage of what it was joining up with Bucky, and you can see I'm not doing anything to hurt him. He's obviously not afraid. There's no drugs involved. This is just us talking. I see how he's got like a earphone sometimes. Head lowered. Smaller circle. Can I see the little injury? That's cut. Come on. Cut. Becky. Yep. Get going. I know you want to follow already, but you gotta ask right. Cut. Go. Head down. Now I've seen the signals. Alright, good. Let's get one to the end. Oh, there's someone behind me. Hi. I don't want to. Goodbye. I'm leaving you forever. Yes. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. You can see in that video just how quick he was to come up behind me, just how he followed me, mirroring my every move. I stop, he stopped. And you can see in the video, I don't have a halter on him. there's no rope connecting me to him, there's no reason for him to follow me like that unless he wants to. And the bond that that establishes is just beyond description. And I really believe that connection saved us one day. Now, Bucky was trained with fear training. He was taught, be afraid of the human, submit to the human. Now, it's been said by other trainers that a horse will always be afraid of something else more than they're afraid of you. And a horse that's trained in fear, once they find that something else that they're more afraid of, if they spook, you're not going to be able to hold them back because they think you're something else to be afraid of. Now, all the abuse that Bucky had went through made him extra spooky. He came from a place where the only reward he got was punishment stopped. And I took lessons there for a few years not knowing just how bad things were. The guy who ran the place was a very good actor, and he had everybody fooled into thinking that he was good to those horses. And Bucky had a lot of fear to overcome, and he proved to me that he had overcome a lot of that fear the day I took him out for a carriage drive. There were a couple of dogs that ran up at us barking and snarling, and I don't believe the dogs actually would have hurt us. I think that they were just, saying, hey, stay away from our home. But Bucky's instincts normally would be to flee something like that, to be afraid. But he listened to me and he let me guide him out of that. He let me drive him away. And, I just talked to him, told him he was a good boy and everything was okay. And he listened. If he would have been afraid of me, if he hadn't trusted that I would get him out of there safely, we would have had a bolting incident. He would have run off and we would have flipped that cart. So you can see what an important thing it is to have that connection, and how much better of a training method it is than to use fear, which is what Monty had hoped to accomplish. He wanted to come up with a training method that didn't involve hurting the horse, and he accomplished that. And like I said, I have living proof that it works because I've seen it with Bucky, and I know that that was his idea because I wasn't doing anything to ask him for it. He was talking to me. So I really hope that you'll do um, more studying on join up, that you will hopefully get a chance to try it with your own horses in the future if you're lucky enough to have an actual horse in your life. And even if you don't, if you get a chance to see this done, even if you get a chance just to go to a demonstration, please do so. It is just breathtaking to experience. I hope you've enjoyed this, and until next time, keep horses in your life.